We come to a completely different set of applications. Has nothing to do now with S/4HANA, has nothing to do with any of the other cloud applications of SAP, but is something which is using the technology and will probably touch our lives, probably help us in our life, and that is fighting diseases. In this case, fighting cancer disease. We are very pleased that we have found worldwide partners working on fighting the cancer disease with the National Centrum for Tumor Diseases in Heidelberg, the ASCO in American Society of Clinical Oncology in the United States. The French one is missing, the institute in Paris, Rousseau, and a company called Molecular Health. They all work with help on HANA and genomes or proteomes, proteomics, to find better treatment for people who were unlucky and caught a disease. May I invite Professor Christoph van Tala from the NCT in Heidelberg to give us a little insight in what you are doing and why HANA is helpful. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to take the opportunity and show you a demonstration on what we have been able to develop, as you saw previously, based on the possibility of doing in-memory. You know that cancer can affect every part of the body, and you can see here a histogram of the frequency of the cancers that affect parts of the body. Of course, that also means it affects every region of the hospital, and those of you who have been to your doctor or in a hospital know that the data environment in medicine is very complicated. Biological systems are very complicated. There are very many different generations of IT systems, and the data isn't where it needs to be at all times, and all of the systems aren't accessible, so it is very difficult to draw conclusions. Plus, we are entering the time of personalized medicine, individualized medicine. There is high throughput data available, going all the way to the possibilities of sequencing the entire genome in cancer patients, for example. So very high throughput data becomes available and needs to be mixed and matched with this entire process, and that has been hitherto impossible. So what I would like to do is take you through a live demonstration. This is a database containing 100,000 patients' data, so it's quite a large entity, and we can go through this and basically pick any of the diseases. I'll just pick one here, and you will see that if you now start drilling down into the data, approximately 1,300 patients of these 100,000 have this disease. Now, from the medical background of this, you know that there are a couple of tumor types that are important to these patients. You can see that the group divides up into two different areas based on the tissue type that we currently know. And of course, the first question that the patient is then going to ask is, what are my chances of coming out of this therapy this is data that is very difficult usually to obtain, but here you can access, again in real time, the data on what is the likelihood of the patient to survive the treatment. And you can see, depending on the type of tissue, that this is actually very, very different. And of course, now you start as a medical doctor, if you want to give the ideal therapy to each of the patients who sees you with this disease, but also as a researcher, you start asking yourself, what are the possibilities? And so you can now, again, drill deeper into the data here, for example, into the data of the human genome. Now, this is what we call a Stockist plot. It displays all the different chromosomes in each cell. and it is a very unique display. You have to keep in mind that the data displayed here represents 3 billion base pairs of the genome, and it represents this, as you can see, for the 250 patients that we are looking at. And even from a bird's eye view back in the exhibit, you can see that there are some areas where problems seem to be piling up. So where there are changes, as we call them, mutations, and so you can click and hone in on these particular areas and then further develop this. And of course, then you are probably interested in some particular cases, so you can even there go to the real data and to the possibilities of looking at individual patients. Say if you have a particular one in mind, we can go ahead and click out the data from a patient. You can see here, very intuitively actually, the patient's history. There's the diagnosis, a tissue sample has been taken, chemotherapy has been conducted, surgery has been conducted, and we can now pick that apart. So we can go ahead and grab the tissue sample electronically, and you can see that within the different cells of the patient tumors, also mutations start piling up in certain areas. And there's also this one, which we had previously found there on chromosome 17. And to just show you how mind-bogglingly straight you can go into the data, we can hone in on this particular area. And I can just take you through, if you wish, all the way down to each of the single bases in the genome, and we can basically then take this all the way to the single letter. You can see here that in this particular position, one of the 3 billion bases has been exchanged, which is causing parts of the problem of that data. And you can see then that by additional customization, additional data algorithms, software programs, and other structures can be added to this to propose treatment algorithms, to count frequencies, to do all kinds of research. So really taken together, you have to keep in mind that an analysis like this used to be a doctoral thesis. This would take weeks, months, years to contrive from the different data sources, to do the research to accomplish this. An analysis like this 2 years ago on this particular disease has been a Nature paper where scientists worked together for years to actually do a finding like this, and now we have the possibility to deploy data analysis for each individual patient who we see based on this in-memory data technology. So we're really very proud that we have been able to co-develop this with you, and we're looking forward to doing more of this in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.